Thing happening in Kashmir. We'll be covering all the aspects of this high-profile meeting that's happening here in Srinagar at the SKICC. Do watch out for our coverage on the Mojo story. Hello and welcome. My name the Mojo story. We are continuing our focus on the G20 meet that's been happening in Srinagar. It was a day of packed activities. The delegates reached Srinagar in the morning. They drove from the airport to SKICC where meetings took place. The focus obviously was on tourism and on films. Remember, Kashmir has a history of with Bollywood. Well, a lot of films were shot here in the past, and then there was a spell of militancy, and now efforts are on to revive that past glory and bring back Kashmir on the tourism map as well as on the map of film industry. To discuss what all happened today and what are its implications, we're joined by an eminent panel. We're joined by Kuldeep, Khoda, former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. He joins us. Welcome to the show, sir. Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav also joins us, former DG, Indian Army. Welcome, sir. We're joined by Bharat, Ramanan, International Affairs Specialist. He also joins us, and we're also joined by Yes, we're joined by Lieutenant General KJ Singh, Army veteran. Welcome to the show, sir. We start with you, Kuldeep Khoda. Perhaps the most apt reply by India. Remember when Bilawal Bhutto, Foreign Minister of Pakistan, was in India for the SCO summit. He was asked a question about the G20, and his answer was very provocative. But today it's been very successful in the sense that in the past, whenever such high profile meetings used to take place in Srinagar, in Kashmir, there was a shutdown call, a civil curfew. But today, nothing of that sort happened. The security was on a high alert, but life was normal. Shops were open, traffic was moving on normally. Do you think that's a big shift, a paradigm shift as far as Kashmir is concerned?
Making tremendous efforts. Pakistan has been writing to OIC countries and many other friendly countries for friendly to Pakistan, and which on which Pakistan depended that they will boycott this G20 tourism working group meeting in Srinagar. But the type of response, the international response which this meeting has got, has absolutely rattled and frustrated Pakistan. Where some OIC countries participated in the meeting, and Pakistan was hoping that at least the OIC countries will not participate in the meeting. Indonesia is there, and then the international community represented by developed and developing countries has responded tremendously, and there are over 60 delegates are there today in Srinagar. I am also in Srinagar to just have a look at the things around. The security arrangements, of course, they are a necessity because of the Pakistan's continuous provocation and Pakistan designs. And recently you have seen what happened in Punch, how they infiltrated there and they caused two major incidents. So we have to take the security measures. We can't leave it just open like that. But people have not been inconvenienced. The traffic is going on. The normal life is going on. And the participation of the delegates is also going on very normally. They traveled from airport to the venue of meeting, which is about more than 20 kilometers by road. And that road travels through the Srinagar city itself. And they saw for themselves how the situation is. Now, this is a big exposure. It will be a tremendous boost to tourism and to the film industry also. And besides that, the Kashmiris want a normal life. They have been absolutely ruined by the Pakistan designs over past 3 decades, and they want to come out of it. They have seen how the development which has taken place during the recent years, how it has changed their life, and they want these things of stability and development to continue, and that is what they want. But Pakistan is not happy with it. Pakistan wants to continuously keep the pot boiling. They want situation to remain abnormal, and ultimate sufferers are the Kashmiris and nobody else.
Right. You can see on the screen, these are visuals of a facelift of the Srinagar that's been done over the last few days. Remember, the smart city project is underway, and it's got a big thrust uh, for the last few days or maybe a month, and lots of efforts are being made to give Srinagar a different look. But Bharat, Ramanan, coming to you, it's also important given the fact that such a high profile meeting is happening in Srinagar after the abrogation of Article 370, first time since August 5, 2019. Do you think it's highly significant in that way also? And there is an inherent messaging in all of this?
Thanks, Zafar. Absolutely. Look, I mean, I don't think this is just a projection of normalcy and stability in the state, but I think it's also a righteous and unequivocal assertion of India's sovereignty and the fact that it will choose to host an event anywhere in any part of the country it chooses. So, firstly, I think that that message has gone out loud and clear. And also, take a look at who's opposed it, right? So, you have China, not surprising one bit. Pakistan, not even members of the G20, so not surprising one bit. And Turkey and KSA, for obvious reasons, they have held back. But let's not forget they have representatives that may not be at the ministerial
Yes.
level. More importantly, I think it's easy for us to sort of look at this event and sort of make it seem like the whole of the G20 has been boycotted by these nations. There's nothing of the sorts happening. This is an important event for the state of Jammu and Kashmir, for its own development, giving it a boost. But on the whole, I would doubt that such political posturing would be possible for the main event itself. So in that sense, I think India sent out a message loud and clear, and the response is there for everybody to see.
Right. The response is there for everybody to see. Ifra Jan also joined us at this point in time, representing the national conference. What do you have to say about all these developments that are taking place? It was a successful meet today, though we saw uh, markets were open, the traffic was moving on normally, and they're going to have another series of meetings tomorrow, though the Gulmarg leg of the meet did not happen. What's your take on all of this?
You see, my take on all of this is that suddenly Jammu and Kashmir has become normal. You can host foreign delegates from all over the world. We can do of this. We can also conduct assembly elections. That's one. My second point is we can do of this. We can also conduct assembly elections. That's what is the fact of the matter. And the assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir are due for more than 4 years now. And what we get to hear from the ECI in February was that there are only two things that they're considering. One is the weather, the second is the security situation. Now we see the security situation seems good enough to host delegates from all over the world. So why is it that for 4 long years, Jammu and people of Jammu and Kashmir are not allowed to cast their vote to form their own government? Is foreign posturing and is showing to the people outside, countries outside, what we can do? Is that more important than letting the own citizens choose their own representatives and form their own chief ministerial government? That is one. My second point is somebody connected this to Article 370. I would want to remind the viewers that in Article 370,
Okay, we seem to have some problem with the audio link there. But PKD Nambiar, you have been listening to the conversation. That question was asked in the press conference to Dr. Jitendra Singh, who is the MOS in the Prime Minister's office, about the if everything is normal and meetings are happening here, international meetings, then why isn't the political process started? He said that political process is very much underway. The panchayat, the local body elections are taking place. Perhaps it's about the assembly elections. That's what the representative of the national conference was also stressing on. That if everything is normal, then why aren't assembly elections held?
I believe that the elections is now just a matter of time. It's only just that there was a process after the Article 370 has been abolished. There was a situation which was known to everyone, and all those people, including the national conference, do know that it was not the ideal time. And secondly, you also know that there was a delimitation process which was all going on for the longest of time, because JNK has never been normal like any other state in the country. So of course it does have some kind of a special consideration which needs to be given, which was given. And I think we are in fact, if you remember that few months ago when the Amit Shah was in JNK, I mean in Kashmir, he himself has said that the process of having its own assembly and also to have an elected government is in a way the process is on. I think it's just a matter of time. And I think the number two part is that all the parties, including opposition parties, should stand together and say in one voice that all the external forces, now we were always known to that Pakistan has always been our primary enemy, but today, and as a matter of fact, most of us, we were known to that it's not only just the Pakistan, but the China was always been and our real enemy. But now today they are open and out. So in a situation wherein G20 is going on in JNK, we should be very happy and proud that we have a government in the country which has got the stamina and courage to host a G20 meeting in JNK, or that itself says that we are not anymore that old elephant, as the once Shashi Tharoor has described India as the old elephant barely able to get up and walk. And today's elephant can not only just get up and walk, but run, and much faster than all these so-called large economies and superpowers. I think we are shouldering with each of these world power, and they are giving you the same importance as it used to be given it to the top countries of the world. I think this respect what we are getting today is also a testimony of our not only just the G20 presidentship, but we are able to host, whether it is from Kerala to Kashmir, we are hosting our G20 meetings all across the country. I think it's a very, very big matter of pride for each one of us. And I think I only believe that if the opposition parties also say the same strong message when it comes to this, don't support the China or the Pakistani voices, whether it is in JNK or in elsewhere in the country.
Okay. Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav, if I may ask you that, the point of China was raised. China really opted out, but this meeting had the biggest representation compared to the earlier two G20 meetings, working meetings in India. But this had the largest representation, despite that the China was out, and Saudi and Egypt and Turkey, they sent their private representatives. Though they were no official representatives, but there was a representation of those countries. So it is the China which stands isolated and not India.
My previous speaker. You see, this conference is all about showcasing the solidarity of the entire world with India. And this shows our claim over Kashmir. That is absolutely positive and correct. And Kashmir is integral part of India. That is one point. And this conference is all about Kashmiris. It is, we are showcasing the kind of development that we have carried out in the last 3 to 4 years, ever since 370 has been removed from the constitution. And the second thing is the kind of employment that has been generated, kind of development, kind of infrastructure that is coming in. So who's getting benefit? It is the Kashmiris. And by doing all this, we are trying to give a boost to the tourism in Kashmir, which is the mainstay of the economy. And I'm sure after this, all these countries, their representatives, they're going to be our advocates, and they're going to be our brand ambassadors of Kashmir. So I see a very positive and very bright future for Kashmir post this conference.
Raised in the press conference also, it is not very unusual that people don't attend such meetings. There are working group meetings where happening in other places where not everybody attends. So, but compared to other meetings, this had a fairly good representation, bigger representation than the earlier two meetings. Lieutenant General KG Singh, if I can uh, uh, ask you that security has been on a high alert in Jammu and Kashmir. But the problem is the soft targets. It's not just the Srinagar city where the delegates are present. It's the other places also. We've seen infiltration bids happening at the line of control. We saw two big encounters in Rajouri. uh, all of that is happening. Things have not stopped in those areas. So, given the fact that there was this SCO meeting happening in India recently, and that there was this Rajouri encounter which took place simultaneously, security cannot let off its guard, be it Srinagar or other places. So, there's additional bit of a challenge for security forces when such a big event is happening in Srinagar.
Yeah, Zafar, security is a big issue. And allow me to tell you that I was in Kashmir on a holiday from 1st to 8th, and I moved around. I went past I went to Pahalgam, I went to Sonmarg, I went to Gulmarg, and I saw there is this air of vibrancy. There is this return to Fiza Badal Rahi hai. People are saying this. And there was great talk about shooting which took place in Pahalgam where Shah Rukh Khan was there. Everybody was talking about it. So I would tend to put it across to all these tanzeems that allow tourism and economy to flourish. Even if you have issues, there will be elections. Join the mainstream if you can. But for me, it was very heartening to see vibrant uh, Fiza in Kashmir. People were very happy, and I asked them. I said, "Listen, if all this is happening, then why do you want elections? What is such a big deal about elections?" But Zafar साहब, जैसा कि पाकिस्तान में भी हो रहा है कि elections is an escape valve or some kind of a pressure release mechanism in democracy. So people said नहीं हमको अपना नुमाइंदा तो चाहिए जमहूरियत में. I said आप सब तो कह रहे हैं कि सभी चोर हैं, सारे ही चोर हैं. We had very good discussions. Some of them became my friends. So I was chatting with them. So they said देखिए अगर वो चोर भी हैं तो कोई बात नहीं, हम उनके पास जा सकते हैं, बात कर सकते हैं. We need somebody to connect. So Jamhuriyat is something they aspire for. So like one of your panelists has said, I hope the government will draw confidence, courage, and pitch for elections. Let the elections take place, and then probably this momentum can be taken forward. But I salute the messaging. See, the meetings took place in one meeting was Run of Kutch, second meeting was in Siliguri, and third in Srinagar on tourism. There have been meetings in Leh, there has been meeting in Tabang. I attended some discussions in Amritsar. So entire India is getting involved in this. It's a great messaging. My compliments, Zafar.
Right. Kuldeep Khoda, it's been almost 4 years since the abrogation of Article 370. At that time, the timeline that was given that there will be delimitation, there will be elections, and then there will be statehood. One of the things has happened, the delimitation has happened, but elections have not happened, the assembly elections yet. Do you think that time has come? This is also a signal for that it's time to move for the second step and then perhaps for the third step, so that uh, so that there is a direction. And as General KG Singh was saying, that there is no alternative to local representation. That in itself is an indication that everything is normal. Big meetings are happening here, as I was saying in the earlier, that there was no hartal, no curfew, no stone pelting, no civil curfew, nothing of that sort.
Zafar, I agree with you that General Singh also that the elections should be held. But at the same time, we have to see that the other processes connected with it, like delimitation commission, you already mentioned that process has been completed. And the biggest thing is that the path of development which has been established and the successes which are achieved through the security forces and the police, those measures should continue after the elected government is in power. So a sort of arrangement has to be made, and it has to be ensured that the development process and the security situation, both of which have improved tremendously during past few years. That process continues, and that doesn't get diluted after the political government comes in power. So those things are something which needs to be worked out in nitty gritty, because all that is in the interest of Kashmiris, and the employment, the tourism, and all sorts of other jobs which get generated in the process. And biggest factor is the peace. So I think government of India has to work out as to how the management of police has to go on after this, because the local politicians sometimes tend to come under local pressure on certain issues like arrests and other things. So those things need to be worked out in minutest detail, so that the process of peace which has been established and which is growing day by day, that continues, and Kashmir, J&K becomes absolutely normal. Besides that, the work on other fronts like dealing with Pakistan and dealing with China, that needs to be also addressed in a bigger way than what it is at present. So all these things, if they are taken into consideration, I think J&K is heading for a big success, both in terms of peace, stability, and development.
There is this propaganda or a narrative that's being used for all these years when it comes to Kashmir. But do you think this is also an answer to the critics and cynics who propagate that sort of a narrative, which is nationally as well as internationally? This is the best answer.
Well,
Bharat
let's
Ramanan, if you can hear me. Yeah.
Zafar, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
I think my mic was muted. No, I think
Yeah.
absolutely, Zafar. I think what we've managed to do internationally is to, and look, this is coming on the back of the G7 meeting that the Prime Minister just attended in Hiroshima. It's a clear message to the rest of the world that we sit with the most powerful countries. We have the support of some of the most powerful countries. The Quad meeting was one more example of that. I think you're showing those pictures as well to your audience. So
Yeah.
very clearly these are coming and they're very well timed. So the Foreign Ministry has done an excellent job of making sure that this has been sequenced well. The messaging is absolutely on point, and you haven't really seen that sort of outrage as some of our friends across the border would have expected. In 10 years, 15 years before, perhaps this sort of outrage may have been a lot more prevalent, but this time around we're not seeing that kind of vehement sort of reactions. So I think even if you go back and look at the visuals coming from the city where the event is being held, you're looking at a lot of happy faces, a lot of people who are enjoying the events in the last day or two. So ultimately, this is obviously a very clear way of telling the world that we mean business. We know how to take care of our own states, and development and the economic growth of our states are at top of our priority, and we'll make sure we do that.
Right. And PKD Nambiar, there is an external messaging and there is an internal messaging to the people of Kashmir, particularly to the youth. Do you think that the government of India has been successful in the internal messaging? We have been talking a lot about external messaging, the youth, the locals, the youngsters of Kashmir Valley.
See, if we expect a very big transformation in a day or two or in 1 or 2 years, that may be, we know that for almost 30 years of insurgency and cross-border terrorism and internal bickering and the anti-India movement which was been happening. So if we expect all these things will be get over in another 2-3 years, that may be a little too much of expecting. But one thing I can tell you, because I have been working with some of the businesses in Srinagar, maybe you may be knowing it, you are from Srinagar in a way, that
Yes, I
there
am.
is a new change in the overall thought process of large number of businessmen from Srinagar is now actively working in Delhi, having their own offices. They are opening up their own saloons here, or in the other way around, they are opening saloons and spas and etc. in Srinagar. So there is a transformation is happening, but the transformation to the rural level, to the city level, may take a little bit more time. And I also believe that there are forces still feel that yes, they are looking for an opportunity, not from the both internally and externally. And there is also the political forces within the state. They have always been very insecure because they had a family driven businesses for the last so many decades. But today they also feel heat that yes, it will not be anymore the same family driven business. But I think as other panelists were also talking about, the former DGP of JNK was talking about, I think peace is not something which you can always prevail with the forces. it will eventually will come, and I think we are almost on that direction. And most important is that the amount of infrastructural development which has taken place in this the JNK in the last couple of years has been tremendous. So I think that will also add in a way, in a big way, from the point of view of employment generation. Or and another biggest challenge was been the education in JNK. But today we can say, whether you go to Bangalore, whether you go to Pune, whether you go to Delhi, you will find a large number of Kashmiri youth are studying, not just across the country. So in a way, an assimilation of within the India, I would rather call it like within India as a group, is taking place. And that's a very, very, and some of my friends, I said that from Srinagar, today they don't mind saying that India is my country. That never used to be the case a couple of years back. They used to say, yeah, we are different, we have our own rights, we are these things. But today it's a different situation, I guess. Maybe, of course, the national conference spokesperson is that she would be
Yes,
able to tell
in fact, we had lost connection with Ifra Jan for a bit, but she's back with us. Okay, we lost it again. There's some problem with the internet. But Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav, the point that is that all this optimism is okay, but there is still militancy on the ground. There's still encounters taking place. Situation is not completely normal. Do you think that it will be too early to say that everything is fine and Kashmir is back on track? That is also a misplaced sense of optimism.
I think the truth lies somewhere in between. There is a lot of control by the security forces. Things are almost normal, and whatever is happening, it is happening in the outreaches closer to the LC or in the hinterland of JNK. It is not the mainstream. Some ideas going off or some other incidences taking place. It will take some more time for complete normalcy. That is for sure. And when I say sometime can go up to about 5 years, 10 years. But probably that is the time then it will be totally free of the menace of a militancy. But what is happening now? There is a much better command and control of the security forces, along with all the ingredients of security. That has prompted much higher level of economic activity, and in turn, it is empowering the people there because of the new means. Since all the laws which are applicable in the mainland India are applicable to the citizen in JNK. So there is a big empowerment, the more employment that is being generated. And after this conference, you will find more and more investment is going to come in the field of tourism, in the field of IT, and various other sectors. It is going to benefit the Kashmiris from JNK, and there are going to be a lot of khushhali. And the proverbial that sher that is famous for Kashmir, agar Pridaur Sami Asto, Ami Asto. So this is what the Kashmir has sworn probably will come back. And this is what we are hoping for. And we have very strong leadership, very leadership which is very decisive and very clear-headed. And this conference is all about projection of India as a power.
Very important that we have the right direction and the right orientation. As you're saying that there's still militancy on the ground, there are still problems on the ground, but the direction and the orientation is important. It may take some more time till things stabilize and normalize completely in Kashmir, but this is a big sort of a symbolic sort of a messaging inherent in conducting this meeting. But we got General Singh back. Last word to you, General Singh, before we wrap up our show.
Thank you, Zaffar. I see that there is a good move forward, and Kashmiris, after so much of uh, distress, deserve this. I hope it builds up. Uh, Democracy, elections is the best way forward. We are seeing the chaos in Pakistan. That's not the model to follow. We have to make our own model. So let us think that things will move forward. Kashmir is known to be a society which has got Kashmiriyat. You have poetry, you have films, you have tourism. So all in all, I am very hopeful. But like what other panelists are also saying, we need to move with caution. We need to build up on our strengths, and we need to involve everybody. So I hope with shows like this, Zafar, the positive message will go forward. Thank you. Jai Hind.
So they have a packed schedule for the whole day. There will be meetings happening as the delegates, convene again for their second day in Srinagar, and will be following all those developments tomorrow as well. But for now, thanks to all our panelists for joining us. That's all the time we have on the show. Thanks for watching.
We started Mojo right here in this basement. Just 4 people, 4. And now we're about to hit our first 1 million subscribers. So this is to say thank you to all of you for your support, for your respect, and for your encouragement. We've always gone to where the story is. During the pandemic, when television's big anchors were hunkered down in their studios or at their homes, we hit the road. We traveled from Delhi to Kerala, covering 30,000 kilometers in a small car, reporting from inside ICUs and inside slum tenements. Whether it's flash floods or war zones, we've always put our boots on the ground. In fact, we're just back from Punjab, tailing the Khalistani fugitive Amritpal Singh. And through all of this, we have always put you, the people, first. In an age of partisan polarized media where most journalists are either chamcha ya morcha, we believe the story is sacred and the truth of the story is what matters. And now as we get ready for the next step, we need your help. Become a Mojo member and get first access to all our big interviews. Get a chance to ask our newsmakers questions. Get a chance to write and report for us for both our website and our channels. And also, interact with me and my colleagues directly through AMA sessions. Literally, ask me anything. Click on the join now right next to the subscribe button, and yes, also subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a Mojo member for just 159 rupees a month. Hope to see lots of you in our community. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.